The floor-to-ceiling windows of the 42nd-story conference room framed Manhattan like a living painting. Zara Vex stood at the back, tablet in hand, watching her boss command the space like he owned it, which technically, he did. Beneath her skin tone modifier, Zara's natural violet skin remained hidden. She was Celestian, sent to Earth 4 years ago to study human workplace hierarchies and power dynamics. Her people had evolved beyond such toxic structures, and the Celestian Institute wanted to understand why humans tolerated them. What Zara hadn't anticipated was becoming part of the system she was meant to study. Or falling for the man at its center. Damien Cross had built Cross Technologies from a garage startup into a billion-dollar empire in 8 years. At 36, he carried himself with the confidence of someone who'd never heard the word no, or if he had, chose not to acknowledge it. Dark hair swept back from a face that belonged on magazine covers, sharp jaw, sharper mind. Zara had worked as his executive assistant for 3 years. She'd learned to anticipate his needs before he voiced them, solve problems before they reached his desk, endure his occasional storms of temper with professional grace. Today was different. Today, something fundamental was about to break. The quarterly board meeting was running long, tensions high as Damien presented expansion plans for their new AI division. Investors were nervous about timeline, budget, competition. Zara had prepared every document, every projection, every contingency plan. She knew the presentation backward because she'd essentially written half of it, translating Damien's brilliant but chaotic ideas into coherent strategy. Then Thomas Berkshire, the most difficult board member, raised his hand. Old money, skeptical of tech, perpetually looking for reasons to doubt. "These projections seem optimistic at best," Thomas said, voice dripping with condescension. "Where are the risk assessments? The market analysis?" Damien's jaw tightened almost imperceptibly. Zara saw it. She'd learned to read every micro-expression. She stepped forward, tablet extended. "Actually, Mr. Berkshire, those documents are in Appendix C. I can bring them up on the main screen." Thomas waved her off dismissively. "I'm asking Mr. Cross, not his assistant." The room went quiet. Zara stepped back, but she saw Damien's expression darken. She knew that look. That was the look that preceded someone getting fired or a legendary cross-temper explosion. "The analysis is comprehensive," Damien said, voice tight. "My team prepared everything you could possibly need." "Your team," Thomas repeated, skepticism thick. "Or did your assistant do most of the actual work while you took the credit?" The accusation hung in the air. Zara felt her cheeks flush. She'd worked 70-hour weeks for the past month preparing this presentation, but that was her job. The suggestion that Damien was taking advantage felt both true and deeply unfair. Damien stood abruptly. Zara recognized the danger signs, hands flat on the table, shoulders squared. This was about to get ugly. "My assistant does exactly what I pay her to do," Damien said, each word clipped and precise. "She follows orders, compiles data, executes tasks. Important tasks, yes, but ultimately replaceable tasks. Anyone with the right skills could do what she does. There are thousands of capable assistants in New York alone. She's good at her job, but let's not pretend she's irreplaceable." The words hit Zara like a physical blow. 3 years. 3 years of early mornings and late nights, of cancelled plans and sacrificed weekends, of learning his preferences down to how he took his coffee, of managing his entire life so seamlessly he never had to think about logistics, and she was replaceable. Easily replaceable. Something inside her snapped. The meeting ended 20 minutes later with the board grudgingly approving the expansion. As people filed out, Zara remained by the window, staring at the city without really seeing it. She heard Damien's footsteps approach, recognized the pattern of his gait. "That was handled well," he said, voice back to its normal confident tone. "Berkshire always tries to undermine me. I need you to prepare a memo about the next phase. I want it by tomorrow morning." Zara turned slowly to face him. The conference room was empty now, just the two of them. Late afternoon sun cast long shadows across the polished table. "No," she said quietly. Damien blinked, clearly not processing. "Excuse me?" I said no. Zara's voice was steadier now. "I'm not preparing the memo. Olivia, this isn't negotiable. It's your job." "My job," she repeated. "My easily replaceable job. The job that anyone with the right skills could do. The job that requires no particular expertise or dedication." Damien opened his mouth, then closed it. Realization was dawning. "That was a board meeting," he said, voice softening slightly. "You know how Berkshire gets." "Then how did you mean it, Damien?" She rarely used his first name. The formality of Mr. Cross had always maintained professional boundaries. Using his given name now felt like crossing a line, and she saw him register it. "Because from where I'm standing, you meant exactly what you said. I'm easy to replace." Damien ran a hand through his hair, disturbing its perfect styling. "Zara, you're taking this too personally." "Really?" She set her tablet down with a decisive click. "Let me ask you something. Do you remember what happened 3 weeks ago when you had that emergency meeting in Singapore? What does that have to do with, do you remember who rescheduled your entire week? Who handled the crisis with the London office while you were in the air? Who made sure your mother's birthday gift arrived on time even though you forgot until the last minute? Who negotiated with the caterer when they tried to cancel your investor dinner? Who found the file your lawyer desperately needed at 2 a.m.? Damien was quiet now, watching her with an intensity that made her skin prickle. "That was all me," Zara continued. "Every single thing. And that was just 1 week out of the 156 weeks I've worked for you." She moved closer, her heart pounding but her voice steady. "So here's my question, Damien. If I'm so easily replaceable, if anyone could do what I do, then explain something to me." "Explain what?" His voice had gone very quiet. Zara met his eyes directly. "Explain why you can't." The silence that followed was absolute. Outside, the city hummed with endless energy, but inside the conference room, time seemed suspended. Damien stared at her, and Zara watched as emotions crossed his face, surprise, confusion, then something that looked almost like fear, and in that moment, Zara knew she'd cracked something open that neither of them could close again. The silence stretched between them like a living thing. Damien's carefully constructed confidence had crumbled, leaving something raw and uncertain in its place. "I don't understand," he said finally. "You don't understand?" Zara felt a bitter laugh escape. "Damien, you're one of the smartest people I've ever met. You've built an empire from nothing. You can see patterns in data that others miss, predict market trends months in advance. So I know you're not stupid, which means you know exactly what I'm talking about." She walked to the opposite side of the conference table, needing distance to say what came next. "You've promoted 3 people to executive positions. Every single one had been here less time than me, had less responsibility than me, had fewer credentials. When I asked about advancement opportunities, you told me I was too valuable as your assistant to move." "That's true," Damien said. "You are valuable. But replaceable," Zara shot back. "Those two concepts can't both be true, Damien. Either I'm valuable and therefore hard to replace, or I'm replaceable and therefore not particularly valuable. You can't have it both ways." Damien moved to the window, staring out at Manhattan. His reflection in the glass looked troubled, less certain than she'd ever seen him. "You want the truth?" he asked without turning around. "That would be refreshing." He turned to face her, and something in his expression made Zara's breath catch. The confidence was gone, replaced by something vulnerable. "The truth is that you terrify me," Damien said quietly. "You terrify me because you're right. You're not replaceable. I've known that since the first month you worked here, and it scares the hell out of me." "I don't have power over you," Zara said, confused. "Don't you?" Damien laughed without humor. "Zara, you know things about me that no one else knows. You manage aspects of my life I don't even think about anymore. You anticipate what I need before I know I need it. You've become so integral to how I function that I honestly don't know how I would manage without you. And that level of dependence on another person, that's terrifying for someone like me. Zara processed this, her anger slowly giving way to something more complex. So you diminish my importance publicly to convince yourself I'm not actually that important. Something like that, Damien admitted. He moved closer, and Zara found herself unable to step back. But it's more than just professional dependence, Zara. That's what really scares me. Her heart was racing now. What do you mean? Damien looked at her for a long moment, wrestling with something. When he finally spoke, his voice was barely above a whisper. I mean that somewhere in the past 3 years, you stopped being just my assistant. You became the person I want to tell when something good happens. The person whose opinion matters more than the board's. The person I look for in every room I enter. And I don't know what to do with that. The confession hung between them, transforming the air into something charged and dangerous. Zara knew she should say something. You can't just say something like that, she finally managed. No, Damien ran his hand through his hair again. I know it's inappropriate. I know it complicates everything. But you asked for the truth, Zara. The truth is that I called you replaceable in that board meeting because I needed to convince myself it was true. Because the alternative, admitting that you're irreplaceable, means admitting that I need you in ways that go far beyond professional. Zara felt tears prick her eyes. You humiliated me to protect yourself. Yes. He didn't try to justify it. And I'm sorry. I'm so incredibly sorry. Sorry doesn't fix 3 years of being undervalued and overlooked. I know. Damien took a step closer. But maybe I can start trying to fix it now. If you'll let me. Zara looked at him, really looked at him. Saw past the CEO facade to the man underneath, the one who was terrified of needing someone, of being vulnerable. I don't know if I can trust you, she said honestly. Then let me earn it back. The intensity in his eyes made her knees weak. This was dangerous territory, crossing lines that once crossed, couldn't be uncrossed. This changes everything, Zara whispered. I know. We work together. You're my boss. This is complicated, Damien finished. Messy. Probably a terrible idea. Then why? Because I can't pretend anymore, Zara. I can't spend another day pretending you're just my assistant. Pretending I don't notice everything about you. Pretending I don't, he stopped, jaw clenching. Don't what? Zara prompted, her heart hammering. Damien closed the remaining distance between them. Pretending I don't think about you every moment you're not in the room. Zara's breath caught. 3 years of professional boundaries, of careful distance, of unspoken feelings, all of it was crumbling. Damien, tell me I'm not alone in this, he said quietly. Tell me I haven't imagined the way you look at me sometimes when you think I'm not paying attention. Zara wanted to lie, to rebuild the walls that had kept them safe. But she was tired of hiding. You're not alone, she admitted. You're not imagining it. Something fierce and triumphant flashed in Damien's eyes. He reached out slowly, giving her time to pull away. When she didn't, his hand cupped her cheek with unexpected gentleness. Then let me try to make this right, he murmured. Let me prove I see you, all of you. Not as my assistant, but as the woman who's become essential to my life. And standing there in the conference room with the city sprawling beneath them, Zara made a choice that would change everything. Okay, she whispered. Show me. The office felt different Monday morning. Zara arrived early, hoping to avoid awkwardness. The weekend had been a blur of confusion, Damien's confession replaying in her mind that she'd spent 3 years watching him from a distance, professional boundaries feeling like prison walls. But his words had cracked something open, and she didn't know how to proceed. Her phone rang. Unknown number. Miss Vex, this is Robert Chen from Horizon Technologies. Zara's pulse quickened. Horizon was Cross Technology's biggest competitor. Mr. Chen, how did you get this number? We have mutual connections, he said smoothly. I'm calling because we've been impressed with your work. We'd like to offer you a position as Director of Operations. Significant salary increase, full benefits, your own team. Are you interested? Zara's mind raced. Director of Operations. The kind of position she'd been dreaming about. I'm interested, she heard herself say. Send me the details. She hung up, feeling both exhilarated and guilty. Through the glass wall of Damien's office, she could see him on a call. He had no idea she'd just taken a call that could change everything. That evening, Zara stayed late finishing a report. The office had emptied out when Damien emerged from his office. You're still here, he observed. Quarterly analysis needed to be finished. It could have waited. He loosened his tie. Stop being so formal with me. That was before, she stopped. Before I told you the truth, he finished. Before I made everything impossible. Damien moved around her desk, closing the distance. Zara, I know I handled Friday badly. The comment was wrong, and I apologize. But I won't apologize for being honest about how I feel. How you feel doesn't change anything, Zara said, voice tight. You're still my boss. I'm still your assistant. We still work in an environment where relationships like this are complicated at best and career-ending at worst. So we just ignore it? Pretend I never said anything? That would be the professional thing to do. Damien laughed bitterly. Professional. Right. He turned away, then back, agitation clear. Do you know what I did this weekend? I tried to imagine coming to work without you here. Having someone else at that desk. And I couldn't do it, Zara. I literally could not imagine my life without you in it. That's dependence, not feeling, Zara countered, though her heart hammered. You're confusing necessity with emotion. Am I? Damien stepped closer. Is that why I notice when you change your perfume? Why I know you drink tea instead of coffee when you're stressed? Why I deliberately schedule late meetings on Thursdays because I know your book club is Wednesdays, and I don't want to interfere with the one night you actually leave on time. Zara stared at him, unbalanced. I didn't know you noticed those things. I notice everything about you, Damien said quietly. I have from the beginning. I just convinced myself it was professional necessity. But that's not why. I notice because I can't help it. The confession settled over them. Zara set her bag down, legs suddenly unsteady. This is a mistake, she whispered. We both know it is. Probably, Damien agreed. But I'm tired of making the safe choice. What are you suggesting? That we just start a relationship and hope no one notices? I don't have all the answers, Zara. But I know that walking away without even trying would be the biggest mistake I could make. Zara thought about the Horizon offer. About 3 years of watching Damien from a distance. About dreams she'd pushed aside because they were inappropriate. I got a job offer today, she said suddenly. From Horizon Technologies. Director of Operations. The color drained from Damien's face. What? They called this afternoon. Significant salary increase. My own team. Real advancement. She watched his reaction carefully. It's everything I've been working toward. Are you going to take it? His voice was carefully controlled, but she could hear panic underneath. I don't know, Zara admitted. Part of me thinks I should. Clean break, fresh start, no complications. Damien nodded slowly, jaw tight. That would be the smart choice. Would it? Zara moved closer, drawn by something she couldn't name. Because there's another part of me that thinks running away from something before finding out what it could be is the coward's choice. Hope flickered in Damien's eyes. I'm not saying this is going to work, she said quickly. I'm not saying I forgive you or that I'm comfortable with any of this. But I'm saying maybe we owe it to ourselves to figure out what this is. Damien reached out slowly. When she didn't pull away, his hand cupped her cheek with gentleness that contradicted everything she knew about his aggressive approach to life. I will do everything in my power to make sure you don't regret this, he said. Don't make promises you can't keep. I never do. He leaned in slowly, and Zara's breath caught. This was the line. Once they crossed it, there was no going back. When his lips met hers, it felt like something clicking into place. The kiss was soft at first, tentative. Then Damien's other hand framed her face, Zara's fingers curled into his shirt, and gentleness gave way to 3 years of suppressed wanting. When they finally pulled apart, breathless, Zara rested her forehead against his chest. We're going to have to be so careful, she murmured. I know. There's something else I need to tell you. She pulled back, meeting his eyes. Something important about who I really am. Zara, let me show you. She deactivated her skin modifier, the change rippled across her body, skin shifting from human beige to luminous violet. Damien's eyes widened with shock and wonder. What? How? I'm not human, Zara said steadily. I'm Celestian. From a planet called Celestia. I came here to study human workplace dynamics. But what I feel for you, that's real. Damien stared, processing. Then slowly, he reached out, fingers tracing her violet cheek. You're purple, he said softly. Very observant. And you trusted me enough to show me. His voice filled with awe. Zara, I don't care what planet you're from. This doesn't change anything about how I feel. When he kissed her again, acceptance and love poured through the contact. But the next morning brought consequences. Damien's phone rang with Robert Chen's number. Mr. Cross, I think we need to talk about your assistant. Or should I say, your alien assistant? Damien's blood ran cold. What are you talking about? We ran background checks on Miss Vex when we made our offer. Discovered some unusual biometric data. Non-human readings, to be precise. Now, I'm willing to keep this information private, if you step down as CEO and recommend me as your replacement. You're blackmailing me. I'm offering you a choice. Your career or your alien girlfriend. You have 48 hours to decide. Damien hung up and immediately called Zara. Chen knows, he said without preamble. About what you are. He's threatening to expose you unless I step down as CEO. Then you have to. No, Damien said firmly. I'm not letting him use this against us. Damien, be reasonable. If he exposes me, there could be government investigations, experiments. Then we expose the truth on our terms, Damien said. I'm not losing you. Not to him, not to anyone. Damien called an emergency company-wide meeting for the next morning. The main conference hall filled with employees, whispers spreading about what this could mean. Zara stood backstage, her modifier deactivated, violet skin glowing softly. Her heart pounded as Damien took the stage. Thank you all for coming, Damien began. I've called this meeting to address rumors that will likely surface in the next 24 hours. Rather than let others control the narrative, I'm choosing transparency. He gestured to Zara, who stepped out from backstage. Gasps rippled through the crowd as they saw her violet skin. This is Zara Vex. You know her as my executive assistant. What you don't know is that she's Celestian, an extraterrestrial researcher who came to Earth to study human workplace culture. The room erupted in shocked murmurs. A business rival discovered this information and attempted to use it as blackmail, demanding I step down as CEO or he'd expose her to government agencies. I'm here to tell him and everyone else that I won't be blackmailed. Zara came here peacefully, worked harder than anyone I've ever met, and yes, we're in a relationship. He looked at Zara with unmistakable love. I'm prepared to step down as CEO if the board demands it. I'm prepared to face whatever consequences come from this revelation. But I will not sacrifice someone I love to protect my career. The board members sat in the front row, expressions ranging from shock to concern. The chairman stood. Mr. Cross, this is highly irregular. I know, Damien interrupted. But so is blackmail. So is discriminating against someone because of their planet of origin. I'm asking this company to live up to the values we claim to hold: innovation, integrity, and inclusion. Silence fell. Then, from the back of the room, someone started clapping. Then another. Then more, until half the room was applauding. The board chairman sighed. Well, I suppose if we can handle groundbreaking AI development, we can handle our CEO dating an alien. Though HR is going to have a field day with the paperwork. Nervous laughter rippled through the crowd. That evening, as the media exploded with coverage, Zara's communicator buzzed, "Recall notice. Unauthorized revelation. Report immediately for memory erasure." Standing in Damien's apartment, Zara looked at the message, then at Damien. They want me to return. They'll erase my memories of Earth, of you. What happens if you don't go? Permanent exile. I can never return home. Damien crossed to her, taking her face in his hands. What do you want? Zara looked into his eyes, these human eyes that saw past surfaces to the person beneath. That had accepted her completely. I want to stay, she whispered. She typed her response, I decline recall. I choose permanent Earth assignment and accept exile status. The device went dark. Damien pulled her close. Any regrets? None, Zara said. You were worth every world I left behind. 6 months later, at the Celestian Human Cultural Exchange Center they'd founded together, Zara addressed a room full of reporters. People ask how I went from studying human hierarchies to becoming part of one. The answer is simple. I learned that being irreplaceable isn't about skills or tasks. It's about connection, trust, and choosing to show up for someone who shows up for you. She smiled at Damien standing in the front row. I came to Earth thinking humans were primitive for valuing workplace hierarchies. What I learned is that humans value something more important: the courage to admit when you're wrong, the strength to choose love over fear, and the wisdom to know that being needed by the right person isn't weakness, it's the greatest strength of all. As cameras flashed and questions flew, Damien caught her eye and mouthed 3 words, not replaceable. Ever.